Hi, I'm Bill Bradley. Join me for a recent excerpt of American Voices. But first, a story after my own heart, the Mississippi River.
My name is Frederick. I'm from Kilp Dutch College Preparatory School, and I'm 13 years old. We went on the Mississippi River, me and my friend Jerron and another. It was very fun because we adventured off and we seen an island that next time we was going to go to.
My name is Darius Jordan. I've been in Quapaw for 2 years. I never been on the Mississippi River before. Since I started this job, I've been going on the Mississippi often. And the reason I wanted to get out of Mississippi because I want to experience the thing. Because I ain't never really seen no wildlife in there that I see on the Mississippi River.
Those are local Mississippi teenagers after they've been exposed for the first time to the Mississippi River. John Ruskey started an apprenticeship program and canoe building classes to teach local kids about the river. It's part of his company called Quapaw Canoe Company. John is a veteran Mississippi River guide as well as an expert canoe builder. John Ruskey is here with me now. John, thanks for coming on American Voices.
Oh, great to be here. Thank you, Senator.
Let's start with your love of the river. You've said if you're an American, you should get on the Mississippi River. Why is that?
Well, geographically, the river defines the heart of our country and drains 40% of the country. And it's kind of like a tree that touches everything from the Rocky Mountains to the Alleghenies to Appalachia and connects us. 66 million of us actually live on the banks of the river or its tributaries. And the river's like this tree of life that connects us all.
What do you wish Americans knew about the river?
Well, I wish that more people were aware of its great beauty and wild vitality. We all know the stories of the Mark Twain stories and the steamboat era stories, and a lot of people have crossed over the Mississippi on a bridge in New Orleans or Memphis or St. Louis and seen the river, and it looks interesting and also full of industry and not so pretty. It looks like a place at Industrial Harbor in most places that you cross it.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact is that in between all of the cities, it turns out that most of the miles of the lower Mississippi are very wild, and you actually don't see any sign of mankind at all. You just see a lot of big islands and the big sky and the big river.
Amazing. And is the river different each day?
Every day it's different. You could go to the same piece of river every day for a week, and it would something different would be going on. If nothing else, just because of the way the wind is blowing or the weather is acting.
Tell us about the bluffs. Aren't the bluffs special?
The bluffs are spectacular. Coming out of St. Louis, you encounter a long series of bluffs. They call them Missouri Hills. And then the Pawnee Hills of Illinois. As you're coming down the river or paddling up it, they rise often with cliff faces that glow and their reflections glow in the water. You can land your canoe and hike through the woods up to the tops of some of these bluffs and get a view, a bird's eye view. You get the feeling that you're flying over the water.
So, I grew up along the Mississippi.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I grew up under those bluffs just south of St. Louis.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Little town called Crystal City.
Oh, yeah, I know it well. Well, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know exactly, yeah. Those bluffs, limestone bluffs, silica sand. It's all right there. I often think of the river, though, it's kind of treacherous, The stories about you can't swim across the Mississippi. Well, how do you handle that current?
Well, with respect and patience and a good deal of experience and the right equipment.
So now, what's the Quapaw Canoe Company?
Quapaw is a small business dedicated to sharing the wild beauty of the lower Mississippi with anyone who wants to experience it.
So what's the size of the boat that you're in, and what adventures do you offer?
Well, we build Voyager-style canoes. Most of our canoes are 29 feet long with seating for 14. We usually don't carry more than 6 to 8 people at a time, and paddle them on long-distance expeditions, usually 3 days to a week, and sometimes as long as 6 weeks. Sometimes we paddle all the way from St. Louis to the Gulf of Mexico, which is about 6 weeks.
So you get 6 people in a 29-foot canoe. You're headed down to Mississippi. Where do you spend the nights, and what do you eat, and how does it work?
Well, we do like our ancestors and cook over the fire and cast iron, and sometimes directly on the coals. Generally, we paddle in the day 5 to 6 hours, sometimes longer. Everyone paddles together in the big canoe. It's kind of a great example of democracy, because in the big canoe, everyone has to put aside any personal differences. It doesn't take long, even on the so-called Old Man River, who peacefully flows along and don't say nothing, must know something. You know, that river...
But it just keeps rolling along.
Yeah.
It's my father's favorite song. So let's talk about the apprentice program. What made you interested in passing all your knowledge of the river along to local kids?
Well, I was inspired by a gentleman named Johnny Billington, Mr. Johnny. He was a master blues musician, and he had dedicated his life. He's passed away now, but he had dedicated his life to keeping the blues tradition alive through the youngsters in his neighborhood, who would inevitably end up at his doorstep or at his garage. He was a mechanic during the day. And his philosophy was that if you have something of value to your community and you know something that other people don't know, that you need to share it, and you need to share it with the kids around you, because otherwise it's going to die when you die. And I studied with Mr. Johnny for a while and then helped him with his mission. And when I started getting into canoeing, which actually didn't happen until I'd moved back to Mississippi, I had this realization that that very same thing could be true of canoeing, because here I was carving out logs and fashioning them into canoes and then paddling them on the biggest river in North America.
So Mr. Johnny's blues was your canoe, right? That's what you gave back.
That's correct.
That's what you kept alive. So how do kids react to being on the river and learning to build a canoe? And why is it important for them?
Well, you know, I can't always answer that question, but the fact is that the apprentices keep coming back, and every day want to continue the hard work of carving out a canoe and the hard work of paddling on the big river.
Do you remember any stories about apprentices?
Well, one of my apprentices, Popeye is his name, someone asked him why he's out on the river, and he told me, he said, well, I just had to get out of town. You know, that could have been the same thing that Huck said
right
200 years ago. Another apprentice, the first time that she went out on the river, we arrived on an island, and the sandbars are like ocean beaches, and she took a few steps and then laid down on the sand and with her arms spread open and lay there stupefied, staring into the sky. And I asked her if are you okay? And she was so strongly affected by the sky. She'd never seen the sky that big before.
Those are good stories.
We've raised a generation of canoe builders and guides. One of them, his name is Woody, James Sykes, is now a captain with the Quapaw Canoe Company. And he didn't even realize that the Mississippi River was connected in any way to the Tacoma County. So the first time that we went out, he suddenly realized where he was in this world and the connection of Clarksdale to the river, to the rest of the world. He's been with the canoe company for 10 years and graduated from the apprenticeship into becoming a guide.
So what do you say to people who you're guiding down the river? The idea of going down the river in a canoe had a great deal of appeal to them. They get on the river and they just can't relax, and you see that they're not making that bond. And what do you do?
I don't do anything except keep paddling, and by and by, the river does all of the talking, all the educating.
Well, John, thank you for coming on American Voices.
Thank you so much.
Been great to kind of relive my childhood along the Mississippi.
Oh, great, great. Well, we have a saying here that wherever you are and whatever you're doing, may the river be with you, Senator.
Thank you so much, John. It always will be, that's for sure. I'm going to call you up sometime. We'll go down the river.
Great, great. Love to have you. Any stretch of river you want to go on.
Okay, great. Thanks. I've been speaking with John Ruskey of Quapaw Canoe Company. To learn more, visit our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/American Voices with Senator Bill Bradley.
Old Man River, that old man River, he must know something, but don't say nothing. He just keeps rolling, he keeps on rolling along. He don't plant.
Thank you for listening to American Voices here on my YouTube channel. For more interviews celebrating the goodness and creativity of the American people, click the subscribe button below.